In this video, we're going to use the percent equation to solve percent application problems. And before we jump into the equation, I want to start with a simple percent problem. And we're going to take 25% of $4. And let's look at how we would do this problem, and then we can look at this problem and see how we can get the percent equation from what we do. So 25% of $4, the first thing I would do is take 25% and I would write it as a decimal, so 0.25. I just moved that decimal place, which is at the end of the number, 2 spots to the left, or divide by 100. And then I'm going to multiply it by $4, and that's going to give me $1. And so really what I have here, even though when I do this, when I multiply 0.25 by 4 and get $1, I might not think that it's an equation, but it really is here. The way I have it written here, this is an equation. You see the equal sign there. So let's write down what I did. I took the percent as a decimal. I multiplied that by, I'm going to call this the whole. Another word might be total. So $4 is the total that I had. And then $1, that's the part. So $1 is just a portion of the $4. It's 25% to be specific. And so we can call it a part. And so that's the general idea of this percent equation. So you're going to take the percent as a decimal. So you've got percent as a decimal. So it's really important that you remember that part. Got to convert to a decimal first. Times of the whole number equals the part. So percent times the whole equals the part. And usually we're given 2 of those. And we're going to solve for the third. And so let's look at the percent application example 4 and see if we can use this equation to solve it. So in 2020, 162.5 million was allotted to the National Endowment for the Arts, and that represented roughly 0.003% of the federal budget. According to this information, what was the federal budget for that year? And so we're being asked to find the federal budget. That's what we don't know. So right off the bat, that makes me think that we'll probably need a variable to represent the federal budget because we don't know what that is. So I'm going to let X equal the federal budget. And then let's write down our percent equation. So we're going to take the percent as a decimal times the whole, and that's going to give us the part. So let's read through and see if we can figure out where everything goes. So now the percent, that's the easiest thing to do because we can see this percent sign. So we know what the percent is. So I'm going to take 0.003%. I'm going to drop the percent sign and I'm going to move the decimal 2 spots left to get the decimal. Put a placeholder 0. So my decimal is 0.0000, 4 zeros, and then a 3. Okay. I want to take that percentage of the whole. And so we see this word of here. We're taking 0.003% of the federal budget. So the federal budget is going to be my whole. And so since I don't know what the federal budget is, I could write federal budget or I could just write an X there. And then that's going to be equal to the part. Well, what is the portion or the smaller part of the federal budget? Well, it's that 162.5 million. That's just a part of the budget that's allotted to the National Endowment for the Arts. And so the 162.5, that's going to be the part. And so I have this equation now. I've got 0.00003 times X equals 162.5, and now I can solve for X. So to solve for X, I'm going to divide both sides by 0.00003 because it's opposite of what's being done. It undoes this multiplication, and when you take a number and divide it by itself, that becomes 1. And then if you do it to the left, we got to do it to the right. And so if you take a calculator and divide these two numbers here, the 162.5 by the 0.00003, then you end up getting 5416666.67, and that's in millions. Because we were told the 162.5, that was in millions. So we can assume our answer is in millions as well. And anytime if we have 1 million millions, that's going to be a trillion. So since we have 5 million millions here, this is approximately 5.4 trillion. So a lot of money there. Okay, so let's look at the next example. So with this example, we have a wedding dress consultant and they receive a commission on all dress sales. After selling a $2,500 wedding dress, her commission was $150. What percent is her commission? So the question, the part with the question mark, that's usually the part that's unknown. So this is the unknown, and this is going to be our x. So I'm going to write out our equation we're going to take the percent times the whole, and that's going to give us the part. Now we don't know what the percent is, so that's going to be x in this question. Now let's look at the numbers that we have and figure out, well, what is the whole and what is the part? So if her dress was $2,500, that is going to be our whole, because that's the total amount that she paid for the dress. And then the commission, that's just going to be a part of the dress, because the commission is just a small part of the total that this person gets for helping to sell it. So the part is going to be $150. And then we're going to sell this, or not sell this, we're going to solve it just like we did that last one. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2,500x. You don't have to rewrite it like this, but I always like to put the x, the coefficient, the number in front of the x. And then we're going to solve by dividing both sides by 2,500. That gets rid of the 2,500 in front of the x, so we're left with x on the left-hand side. And then 150 divided by 2,500 gives us 0.06 as a decimal. Okay, so keep in mind that's a decimal, that's not the percentage. And so if the question asks for the percent, then you're going to have to go one more step and you're going to have to convert this to a percentage. And you can either multiply it by 100 in your calculator, or you're going to take that decimal and move it 2 spots to the right. And so that gives us a 6% commission, which is our answer.